Good night.
All
Okay.
right. See you later.
Ms. Hammond, the defendant is your daughter. Yes. Your complaint alleges that she asked you for some help at some point a couple of years ago to have electricity turned on in an apartment that she was in. I gather you were living with a boyfriend who he left, and he left you there with a child, and he turned off the electricity, which was in his name.
Correct.
You called your mother, asked her for some help.
I apologize. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I didn't ask.
You didn't?
I didn't ask for any help. She offered.
Okay, so you called your mother, told her what was happening, you put the electricity in your name. According to you, there was an agreement that she would pay the electrical bill.
Yes.
She turned out not to have paid the bill, which subsequently went to collections. You want the bill since you paid it.
Yes.
Ms. Hammond, I gather your answer, your response to your mother's complaint is that she wasn't much of a mother, that this was the least that she could do when you were in trouble. She agreed to turn on the electricity so that you...
She offered, actually.
So that you only had one child at that time?
I had 4.
How many children did you have when you were having problem with your electricity?
4.
4. How old are you?
I'm 35.
How old are your children?
15, 14, 10, and 4 now. At the time, my daughter was 1.
Where are you living now?
In Massachusetts.
Are you living with 4 children or with 4 children and anybody else?
It's myself, 4 children, and my fiance.
Do you work?
Not at the moment.
When was the last time you worked?
It's been about 3 years.
What do you do, Mrs. Hammond?
I'm disabled at this point, and I am a part-time cashier. I started working in October of 2016.
Prior to that, you were receiving disability?
Who knows what tomorrow will bring? Maybe sunshine and maybe rain. But as for me, I'll wait and see. And maybe it'll bring my love to me.
The United Canadian...
Yes,
For how long?
for 5 years.
From when to when?
It was January of 2011 2010 to 2016. So it's been 6 years.
You were receiving federal disability?
Yes, not Social Security disability.
Social Security disability?
Yes, ma'am.
And they cut that off?
No, I'm still receiving that. I'm on the Get to Work program.
Tell me about that, just so I never heard about it. So I want you to tell me about that program. So you still receive your Social Security disability?
Yes,
How much?
it's $1,300 a month.
And you're required to work?
I have wanted to work for some time, and
What is Ticket to Work? What is that program? Is
what
what I
that
want to know.
program is for 9 months. You are able to do a job, and after the 9 months, you can only make up to a certain amount of money. If you make over that amount, your disability ends. So I'm in the first 9 months of the program. You can work up to 3 years as long as you do not go over that particular amount.
And what's the particular amount?
I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but most likely would be the amount that I receive per month.
So you can't make more than $1,300 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. I gather from reading, and usually I don't like to go into all kinds of backstories, but this is sort of an interesting question. Your daughter, and you seem to acknowledge that you have a brother, correct?
Correct.
Your 2 children were voluntarily given over to social services when they were 10?
No, no, ma'am.
How old?
My son is 39 years old. They're about 4 years older. He was never given to the Department of Social Services.
Who did he live with?
At 10 years old, he moved in with my father because of educational purposes.
He wasn't in the home.
What?
He just wasn't in the home.
That is not true.
The same as me. I don't think she wanted to be a mother. Sorry.
So when your son was 10, he moved in with your father. And where did you live?
Dorchester, Massachusetts.
And where does your father live?
Milton, Massachusetts.
How far away are they?
15, 20 minutes.
And you have only 2 children?
Yes.
What were you doing?
At that time, I was working 2 jobs, and the reason why my son went to live with my father is because the Boston school system,
Yeah.
it was for educational purposes.
I know it's nice to say I don't believe it. Let's understand. I don't believe it. And your daughter, She was how old when she went into foster care?
10 years old.
8.
Why?
Because about 3 years old, my daughter started exhibiting behavioral issues. And what I mean by that was
Don't speak.
Stealing, lying, swearing, and it continually got worse to the point where in second grade, she was expelled in second grade after the first semester. And the reason for that is because...
Don't tell me the reason. I don't want to know the reason. All I want to know is what you're telling me she was a behavior problem, so you put her in foster care? Is that what you're telling me?
Before that, I did try to get her therapy, and I was getting her therapy, special classes.
I'm just asking you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is what you're telling me that the reason you placed your daughter in foster care was because she was a behavior problem?
And my health, yes.
Well, it was just you and your son. Your son was eventually moved out to live with his grandfather.
No, he wasn't moved out. My father and I agreed that it would be better for him to receive better education.
I don't believe that. I just want you to understand that. I'm not following the whole story. All I know is usually when you have a child who's 10 years old who's a behavior problem, you don't send that child to live with strangers, especially if you only have one child that you have to deal with. Okay. Did you know where your daughter went to live when you put her in foster care? Did she go to live with relatives, or did she go to live with foster family?
Not relatives. Immediately after was a hospital, and then there were
For how long?
programs.
For how long was she in hospital?
She was in the hospital for about a month or so.
Okay, and after she was in the hospital for 1 month, tell me where she went.
To the county home for children.
So not to a foster home.
Then after that was another program, then the foster homes.
How many?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay, now you tell me on what date your daughter called you for this electricity problem.
It was the summertime of 2013.
It was not the summertime.
Don't interrupt again.
I'm sorry.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, and you recall the conversation?
Yes.
Now, from what I gather, in 2013, you were receiving disability,
Yes.
$1,300 a month. And who were you living with in 2013?
With my brother.
Are you still living with your brother?
Yes.
And what does he do for a living?
He's a welder.
Is he older or younger than you are?
Younger.
Does he have family?
No children, no wife, ex-wife.
So it's just the two of you.
Yes.
Anybody else live with you?
No.
So you've been living with your brother for several years now. How long?
5 years, somewhere in that area.
Okay, so now tell me about the conversation.
When I talked to my daughter, Tony, she had told me that the baby's father, they had broke up, and he took the electricity out of his name. At that time, my granddaughter was close to a year old, and she needed electricity. And I'm not going to see my 4 grandchildren go without electricity. So I said, I'll put it in my name. You have to promise that you will pay the bills.
What was she doing for a living then?
At that time,
Nothing.
she was, right,
She was doing nothing.
she was
working.
No, who were you working for? You had 4 children and one was a year old. Who were you working
I
for?
was in a pre-apprenticeship program.
She wasn't working.
No.
She has 4 children.
yes.
From what is she going to pay the electric?
She was receiving child support, and she was receiving assistance from the state.
What?
My daughter was receiving assistance and still does. She has PTSD, so she receives Social Security. My mother is fully aware that that was the only income that I had to take care of my household. I don't know how I could have came up with any type of agreement or plan.
I mean, how do you take care of 4 children that you made? You work. That's how you take care of 4 children that you made. I'm trying to understand her, trying to understand how she is putting together in her mind that you're going to be able to take care of a big bill when you've probably skipped out on electric bills before. There's no question about that. Otherwise, you could have put the electric in your name. Boyfriend skips out, you call up and you say, listen, boyfriend skipped out and I want to put it in my name. And the reason you couldn't get that done is because over the years, you've stiffed the electric company so that you can't do it in your own name. There's no question in my mind. Been doing this a long time. What I want to know from you is whether you had an expectation of being paid back. That's the question. Because a loan requires an expectation that you're going to get paid back.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I want you to tell me how you anticipated she was going to pay you back. when you knew, because you shook your head yes, that she had already put on utilities, skipped out on them over the course of her adult life enough time so that they weren't going to put them on in her name? Because that would be my first question, right?
I believe that because she did tell me yes, and plus I saw the things that she was buying. She was buying a $200 wig. The kids had Xboxes. So if you can afford these kind of things, you can afford an electric bill. And you promised me.
Go ahead.
My children have godparents, and
You don't have to respond to that. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to respond to the question. We understand your ancillary income, none of which comes from really working.
Correct.
For a long time. I just wanted to understand whether you had an expectation of being repaid. So you thought she was going to sell one of these Xboxes or sell her wig or something to pay the electric bill?
Actually, that did not cross my mind. She said, I will do it, Mommy. She promised me, and I believed her until I received a call from the electric company that nothing had been paid.
Now, over the last 3 years, do you see your 4 grandchildren? Put your hand down. Do you see your grandchildren?
Yes, I do.
How often?
Not as often as I would like.
How often?
I would say...
At all?
What if I...
Shh. What did I tell you about not talking out again?
Sorry. I apologize. She is lying. I do see my grandchildren as
How
much...
often?
I would say 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay. So you saw them 4 or 5 times last year. Where did you see them?
I saw them... Actually, last year was once because there was no communication. There were times when I can't reach her, there's no phone. So I have to come by her house and go see the grandchildren. Then there were times when I saw them while she was going through the program every day.
What program?
She was going through a training program. So I was helping her.
So, just a second. So there was time that you were seeing the children every day because you were helping to watch the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she told me that she was in this training program now.
She just started a new training.
Shut up! Don't speak. So she's in the training program now, and so now you're helping her to babysit.
Not in this program.
Well, which program are we talking about now?
This was another program 2
What
years
year?
ago. 2014.
Okay, so in 2014 she was in a different program and not working.
Right.
Okay, so in 2014 you knew she wasn't working.
Yes.
And how was she supporting herself?
With the assistance and the money for my granddaughter, like she explained.
A loan requires an expectation that you can be repaid. You had absolutely zero anticipation that you were going to be repaid because you know your daughter and her circumstances very well. You know that she has no work history, at least no current work history, as you have. No independent current work history. You work just enough so that you can continue to receive what you receive, plus up until that line. And that line is never going to get crossed. So we're done. I don't have a loan because I don't have an expectation of repayment. Your case is dismissed. Ms. Robertson, the defendant is your daughter. It's your claim that she owes you a whole bunch of money that you loaned to her, $5,000. You want a title to a mobile home that you put in her name, and the defendant says that the money that you gave her was a gift. The mobile home was a scheme. You needed it out of your name because you get some sort of government assistance. You couldn't show any money. So I have to sort of ferret out what's going on. What kind of disability do you get?
I don't get disability. I'm on Social Security.
Just Social Security?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Perdue, what kind of government assistance were you suggesting that your mother was trying to hide funds from?
She wanted to purchase a trailer. And
She wanted to what?
she wanted to purchase a trailer, okay, for me. But then I found out afterwards because she put it in my name. I thought she was purchasing this trailer for me, but she put the trailer in my name because she couldn't claim that money. She couldn't have it in her name as an asset. I'm sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. Because otherwise it would consider her as an asset.
Does that have to do with medical coverage?
No, Your Honor.
Why was the mobile home that you purchased in her name?
It was purchased in her name is because I was about halfway ill or something. So I told her, I said, if in case I pass, I'm going to put it in your name. That way you can sell the house and split it between the 4 kids.
I understand. So
I
you were
don't
doing,
know what she's talking
So you were
about.
doing some inventive estate planning.
Yes.
Well, this inventive estate planning came back and bit you in the behind.
Yes, it did.
because once you put the mobile home in her name, it becomes hers. It's a gift. That's what it is.
You mean she can actually throw me out on the streets, which she said after we go to Judge Judy, when we come back, I'm throwing you out on the streets, and I'm selling the house.
No. Well,
yes.
Well, I want to tell you something. That would not be a nice thing for her to do. Fortunately, you have 2 other children.
3.
3 other children. But the law says that if you put a home, a mobile home, in somebody else's name, and according to you, it was done for estate planning, so that when you're no longer around, it will go to the 3 children. That's what you had hoped for. Well, Miss Robertson, I hope it doesn't happen tomorrow or in the next 10 years, but eventually we're all going to be gone.
Right.
Right? So if that was the purpose of your putting it in her name, eventually it's going to come to pass. So you can't get the mobile home back.
You mean when we go home, she can just throw me out in the street?
Listen, if that's going to... Are you living... The 2 of you living together?
No, she lives... There's my place, and then her place.
Your Honor, please, can I say something? Okay? First of all, the statement about me throwing her in the street is very incorrect. Yes, the statement was made, but it was not made by me. I have no intentions of throwing my mother in the street. Okay?
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Maybe we can resolve this so that your mother is happy. Would you be prepared to sign an order giving your mother a life estate in that mobile home? Which means that during her lifetime, she cannot be excluded from the mobile home that she's currently living in. Were you prepared to sign such an order?
I would under some
No,
conditions.
just that's either I am prepared to sign it or I'm not.
I'm not. No, you're not.
Wow.
That's what I told you.
Holy Mother of God.
I am not going to throw her out. But there's other circumstances that's going on with this mobile home at the time. Okay, she's done some structural changes to the mobile home. Okay, you have to have permits and you have to have licenses for this. Okay, and she took it upon herself to go and to split it into 2. And the trailer now is 2 apartments.
Who lives in one half and who lives in the other?
At this point, I'm not really sure because there was an issue of her supposedly renting out the back. Okay.
Okay, well, that would sound like something that might happen if she split it in 2 so she had a place to live and some additional income.
Right. Well, she never spoke to me about this, okay? I was not told about any of these changes. I just came aware of
Let me
them.
ask you this question, Ms. Perdue. Is your problem that it's in your name?
No.
What's your problem?
My problem is that the trailer belongs to me. She should have come to me and asked me before she made these major changes. Right.
She didn't. What do you do for a living?
Right now?
No, anytime. What do you do for a living to support yourself?
Oh, right now I take care of a handicapped child in home care. I haven't been working for the past year. I've been very, very ill this year.
So it would be fair to say that you didn't put any of your funds into the mobile home where your mother is staying?
No. I helped her pay a little bit for lot rent, but no.
The answer is no.
Right, no.
The answer is no. So what you're telling me is that you're concerned that she's made certain structural changes that are in code violation. Then your concern is that you could get in trouble for that.
Right.
So why don't you give it back the trailer?
Because she gave that. Your Honor, can I explain something to you about...
I understand exactly what she did.
When she had given me this trailer... Okay, my mother has not been in my life.
Just a second. I'm not interested in your sob stories. I'm trying to get who you are. I can't make you give your mother back the trailer, but if she, at her age, wants to be secure that she's not going to be thrown out and won't have a place to live, it would seem to me, since you had no financial input in this trailer, that she bought it with her money, and that for estate purposes, she gave it to you and put it in your name. But right now, she's insecure, and nobody as a senior should be insecure that they're going to be homeless because they made an unwise choice. If you were a reasonable person, what you would do is to say, you know what? You want the trailer back? I didn't put anything into it. It's probably got code violations. I don't want any part of it. I don't pay the maintenance on it. I don't pay the lot fees on it because she pays all of those, right?
She pays lot rent.
She pays all of those things?
She pays lot rent.
How much are they, by the way, Miss Robertson?
$250 per month.
And how much did you pay for the trailer?
$4,000.
Do you have any other funds left from the sale of your home?
No, ma'am, I do not. I gave the rest of my funds that I had, I gave to the lot place because Catherine wanted a double wide across the street. And I paid for it, and she was supposed to pay $250, and I was supposed to pay $250 and put my name on the title. I noticed the title, she did not put my name on the title. So she owes me $5,000 for that, not $250. And I gave her all the money to repair her house and everything. And I'm living on $610 a month.
Miss Robertson, when you make a gift, the gift is gone.
I didn't realize that.
I can't convince her to do anything. Right now, you have ownership of how many mobile homes? You have the one that your mother gave you. There's another double wide that was purchased.
Yes. Sorry.
There's another double wide that was purchased. You put in no money in that. She did.
I put a lot.
Just a second.
Wait a minute.
Tell me what you put into that.
All right.
Without working, because you haven't been working. So tell me what you put in.
This was prior to me not going to work. I work for a company that it's an in-home service.
How much are you paid per hour?
I think it was $9.75. It's $11.25 now.
You didn't put any money into this trailer. Nothing. Miss Robertson.
Yes, ma'am.
Your problem is, and I'm sure you've been told, because you seem like an intelligent lady, and I'm sure you've gone to see a lawyer.
I couldn't find one who would take my case. The one I did find, she beat me to it. He told her that as long as it was in her name,
it's hers. I'm telling you the same thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I can do to help you. You had a sister. Your sister lived in California. You and your wife lived in Florida. Your sister became ill, and she was diagnosed with cancer. You and your wife relocated from Florida. Are you retired?
No, not retired.
Did you get a new job in California?
My wife is a contractor, so we move around quite a bit.
So you came to California, and you had another project
Correct.
in California. Okay. And how long was that project for?
It's ongoing still.
So you moved to California because you had a new project.
Correct.
Okay, well, then this is sort of misleading, Mr. Riley. I'll get to the whole thing. This is probably going to be more interesting than I even thought it was going to be. This is a situation. Your sister was sick in California. You came to California. You led me to believe in your complaint that you and your wife gave up your life in Florida to come to California to minister to your ill sister. That's what I get from. That's what I got from your complaint.
Very much
now
true.
it appears that you have a contracting job, and even though your sister is no longer with us, that contracting job is ongoing because that's what you and your wife do. So it was probably a combination of both things. In any event, you came to California with your wife for a job, which you're still doing, and you're still living in California.
Yes.
Still living in California,
Still in
even though your sister's not here anymore.
Correct.
Right.
We're from California originally.
It doesn't matter. I was just misled by the complaint. Maybe it was my own silly misreading
I'd
of
love to
it.
clarify if I could.
They saw
But
work here.
I didn't ask you a question.
Sorry, Your Honor.
In any event, your sister was here. She came to live with you for a while. She was ill. She was getting treatment while you were in California. And you are her closest living relative.
Yes.
Closest biological living relative.
No. Physically close, yes. Biologically, we have 6 siblings.
Oh, but she didn't live with any of the other 6 siblings.
No, she lived by herself.
And
until she lived with us.
she was a single lady.
Correct.
No children.
Never married, no kids.
And the defendant is her cousin.
Correct.
So you took care of her, drove her to her doctor's appointments, did whatever had to be done. Sister
For
passes.
months, I may add. For months. Years.
For months, years,
Just so you know.
whatever. For months. You did all of those things, and your sister unfortunately succumbed to cancer. She passed away, and when her will was read, to your surprise, you were not made beneficiary of any part of the estate. Her entire estate went to her cousin, Miss Wells, as the beneficiary. But your sister did a double whammy. She made you the trustee.
Correct.
Okay. And that, I assume, Mr. Riley, if you and I are being honest with each other, was both irritating to you and probably to your wife, who was very anxious to talk to me before.
No. Not really.
It wasn't irritating.
It was irritating, but not for the reasons you say. It was not monetarily driven. I care for my sister.
I understand.
It was a surprise. It's always just
It was
a surprise.
was a surprise. In any event, there was ongoing acrimony between you and Miss Wells. That is clear from both your complaint and her answer. But this is what your complaint is about, because it's the only thing that your complaint can be about. You ultimately turned over the trust to Miss Wells because you didn't want to be involved in it anymore.
No, not true. Not true. She didn't like the way I was handling the trust, and
Right. She didn't like as beneficiary the way you were handling the trust, and she said in her mind you were dissipating the trust, and since she was the beneficiary of the trust and a together person, she said, I can take care of this myself and I'll spend the money differently.
With 3 different attorneys, by the way.
Doesn't matter.
In 6 months.
Doesn't matter.
Does me.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Do you see? What you're doing now is demonstrating just how irritated you still
sorry.
are.
I get emotional about my sister's death still. I'm sorry.
Well, this isn't about your sister's death. This is about money. Okay. If you were emotional about your sister's death, then you would have said, you know, my sister died. She knew how she felt. It was her money. She felt, for whatever reason, either close to Miss Wells or she felt that Miss Wells needed the money more than you did, that you and your wife were doing okay. For whatever reason, it was her money. That's what she decided to do with it. So
absolutely,
when people pass away, whether it be a parent or a grandparent or whatever, and you as a relative don't think that you're getting the appropriate love from the deceased by way of monetary reward, it's irritating. Happens all the time, and you're not unusual for that.
But
this is what you're not unusual for that. But this is what your case is about.
It's not.
After Miss Wells took over the trust and finally got into the condo that was very much in dispute, she found that there were certain things missing from the condo. And as a result of that, she notified the insurance company, because evidently your sister had homeowners insurance. She found laptop missing. She found someone had purposely damaged a sleep member bed.
I really want to speak to that if you let me.
Just a second. No. Whatever it is, she found certain things missing in her mind, and she made a complaint to the insurance company, filed a claim with the insurance company, who did it, as they have to, an investigation before they pay out a complaint. And when you call the adjuster who is going to examine your complaint, what she did, and I assume she did make a police report.
Yes, indeed, named me as culprit.
Okay. Can I see a copy of that police report?
No, because I don't have a copy. Do you have a copy?
I do have a copy.
May I see it?
You were denied a copy?
I was denied a copy because I was the culprit.
Put her out. She's annoying me. She doesn't learn. Not a free-for-all. It's an out.
Come on.
Oh, I beg your
pardon.
It's an outie. Pardon me. Thank you.
No, you can stay.
Thank you. Sorry, Your Honor.
Forgive me, Your Honor. It's very difficult to find, but I do have it. Here it is.
Give it to Officer Bird, please.
May I ask what date that was filed?
Okay. So what she says in this Sheriff's Department report, have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what it says.
I appreciate that.
It says she inherited the apartment from her cousin who passed away. Prior to moving in, she says where she lived, and she had seen photos of the apartment, she the defendant, and its contents, and through email exchanges prior to her cousin's passing away. On May 26, 2016, Anna moved to the apartment.
Sorry, when?
She looked around on May 26, 2016.
Your Honor,
That's
may
what
I
it-
correct that? I didn't move there.
I'm reading, listen to me, don't correct anything. I'm reading to him what the police report says.
Yes.
If it said something and it wasn't accurate, you should have corrected it at the time.
Oh, yes.
On May 26, 2016, Anna moved to the apartment. She looked around and inventoried the items in the apartment. She saw items were missing from the apartment that she had previously seen in photos. She believes another cousin of hers, Thomas Riley, who had access to the apartment prior to Anna's arrival, entered and damaged the mattress on the bed by cutting out a portion of it with an unknown object.
She's lying.
She also believes he took various other items from the apartment. She does not know for certain if Thomas took the items or damaged the mattress, but she stated she was in a battle with Thomas over being appointed trustee of her cousin's estate Anna did not desire prosecution and did not want Thomas contacted over the matter. She stated Thomas is emotionally unstable and did not want to aggravate him.
Right.
Anna wanted the matter documented for insurance purposes.
If I may.
You don't have to. I'm formulating a picture. Do you understand?
I understand.
And as very often happens in a legal landscape, the landscape is changing, Mr. Riley.
True.
And it's changing in your favor, sir.
Okay.
Now you got a windfall. You inherited this apartment and whatever money was left in the estate, if there was any. If it had happened to me, I wouldn't have looked at draperies, 2 sets, 92 inches, $650. Sleep number bed, king size, model 1, $6,000. Moen brand shower heads, $2,000. A Galaxy Pro Tab. Dishes, $350. Bissell Pro Heat Steam for the floor. White bleach cruiser bicycle. A purse for $1,000. How much in total did you get from the insurance company?
$16,000, Your Honor. I have...
Just a second. $16,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
None of which, actually, you paid for.
Correct. Yes.
All of which your cousin paid for.
Yes, correct.
Yes, correct. And the single most expensive item was a sleep number bed.
Correct.
And you gained access to the apartment in May of 2016. I said gained access to the apartment. That's what it says in the police report. It says Anna moved to the apartment.
Your Honor, was the first time I was ever at the apartment.
June?
June 24th.
June 24th. This is my problem with you. Yeah.
Yes.
You're getting ready for the problem.
No, I can explain.
No, you can't. There is no way you can explain it to me. Whatever it is, she found certain things missing in her mind, and she made a complaint to the... Miss Whitaker, the defendant was a foster child in your home for many years, on and off. According to your complaint, at some point you invited her or asked her if she would house sit for you. You were going away for a couple of days.
Correct.
Immediately prior to that, she had not been in your home.
Correct.
She came back to your home to house sit, and according to you, she took some property that didn't belong to her. That's what you're suing her for. Ms. Parenteau indicates that the property she took belonged to her, and she has a counterclaim. She said that you changed the locks on the doors, and she was unable to get some other property that she has in your house, which she'll tell me about. Just for informational purposes, how old was Ms. Parenteau when she came to live with you for the first time?
16.
And how long did she stay?
She was there for a short period of time, and then she was placed somewhere else, and then has come back several times.
Why is that?
She was placed somewhere else because she was in my home and wanted to return to her previous home to take care of the dog. And I did that, and they were in disagreement of that choice.
Now, explain that. So she was in your home when she was 16, but she had a dog in her previous foster home that she liked?
No, in her biological home.
With whom?
My biological mother.
And you went back to that home?
Yes, I only went there for a few hours to feed the dog because she was in jail and no one else was there to take care of the animal.
So you didn't go back there to live?
No.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to understand. So you went back there just to take care of the dog?
Yes.
For a couple of hours. And you didn't like that?
No, it was not me that did not like it. The county did not like that.
So what happened?
After I discussed what happened, they questioned me. They took her from my home, and she was placed in several other homes after that. I fought to get her back.
The second time I was taken out of her home, she committed some Social Security fraud, which she's still under investigation for.
That's not true.
That was the second time. The first time was because?
The first time was because I went to my house to feed the dog.
With her permission?
Yes, she took me over there.
Okay, so that's the first time. Second time, you say because of some sort of investigation that was being done. Were you the only foster child in the house?
No.
How many foster children were there?
There were about 4 at the time that I moved in.
How many foster children did you have in Pine in the last 5 years?
The last 5 years, I've had 3.
For long periods of time?
Yes.
Do you work outside the home?
Yes.
At what?
I do a lot of volunteer work as well as I've been in internships with my union.
I asked you if you work for money outside the
yes.
home other than for home.
Yes, for a union.
What union?
SEIU 2015.
What do you do for them?
I've done a lot of internships. They are programs that last X amount of time, and I learn new things.
How do you get that job? I'm serious. How do you get that job? So far, you do a lot of volunteer work. You have 3 foster children. You do a lot of internships. Internships really usually mean you're working to go towards something.
Correct.
So how did you get into this union? You have
I-
a brother, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle?
No, the county has a program, and
so
I
it's
learned
through
that.
the
I
county.
actually learned that through one of my foster children.
And for my own informational purposes, how much money did you receive each month from Miss Parentu?
At the end of her stay,
Let's start at the beginning of
the
her
beginning of her stay, I was in an agency, and it was $1,009.
And at the end?
I was a non-relative placement for $859.
Prior to house sitting for you, when was the last time the defendant lived in your home?
The beginning of October, I believe.
For how long?
She had been there for a little over a year and a half.
And what caused her to leave?
She was mad at me.
She got angry with you.
Yes. And
Just a second, because?
actually, not real sure. She left a note for me.
You want to tell me why you were angry? She's not real sure?
I never left any note. She committed voter fraud, and I was very upset with that, so I had
So you
moved
left in
out.
November?
Yes.
That is not true.
Did you get an absentee ballot?
No, I did not. I got a provisional ballot. She actually switched my voting thing to a mail-in ballot and never told me about it. She never told me about it, and I went to the voter place, and they said that I was a mail-in voter and that I had already turned in my voting thing. So right here, I asked if she had filled out my mailed ballot, and right here it states, I have your ballot filled out, and I'm going to put it in at the polls. I voted for the
Sorry. Back there.
Sorry.
So this is a text message from her.
Yes.
You asked her, did you fill out and mail my ballot, or should I go in to vote today?
Exactly, because when I went in there, they had told me that I turned it in, so I just wanted to see if she was the one that did it.
I got it, because I see the time. And then she wrote back practically immediately, yes, I have your ballot filled out, and I voted. I voted for the pot thing on mine as well as yours. How could you vote for her?
I didn't. I filled it out in pencil, and it was sitting on the table. I had filled it out for her if she wanted to change something.
No. You said, I have your ballot filled out. I'm going to put it in at the polls. That's what you say.
I meant she
I don't
could
care
put
what
it in.
you meant.
I didn't. I did not put them in. I never turned it in. It was sitting on the table for 2 weeks after the date. I was working the whole day of
I don't believe you.
vote. Okay.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
That's where we're starting. But I don't believe you. And that's why she moved in. No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
You have proof? Be very careful.
Yes.
Who are you?
I'm her friend, Diane Townsend.
Do you live with her?
No, but we're very close. We see each other daily.
How could she see you daily if she's so busy with her volunteer?
I'm also a foster parent, and we have brothers and sisters in tune with each other.
Go.
And I saw the ballot filled out in pencil on her table from the time, a couple weeks ahead of time before the voting until after the voting, and it was still
Sit down.
sitting
I don't
there.
believe the word you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Don't believe you.
it's true.
So that's why you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She left
And you moved
before that date.
I,
She left before
talking.
that date. Sorry.
Well, then I'm reading the rest of these things. The rest of your texts to her. She said to you, no, I don't do the pot thing. When you say I voted for the pot thing on mine as well as yours. That's what you said to her. She said, I don't do the pot thing. And you say to her, you're not registered to vote there, so it won't count. I turned it in already. That's on November 8th. I turned it in already. So you don't want to legalize pot in SB. I don't know what that means.
San Bernardino.
Yeah.
She's an avid pot smoker.
You see what? I don't believe you, and I don't believe you. Isn't that embarrassing that you swore for her? Isn't it embarrassing to you that you swore for her?
It never got turned in,
I'm
ma'am.
speaking.
Okay.
She said you're not registered to vote there, so it won't count. I turned it in already.
Right. I did.
On November 8th.
I did not. I got mad at her.
What stuff does she have?
I have a list right here.
Just stay back there.
Okay. Sorry, I keep doing that.
You're at a house every day. Do you ever see rabbits?
Yes, they're in the back. I have pictures too.
Where did you get a sewing machine from?
I got it from her, actually. She got it for me.
As a gift?
Yes.
When?
About 2 years ago.
Do you use the sewing machine?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
Probably in the garage, possibly.
Do you have her rabbits?
Yes, I do. And I've repeatedly asked her to come get them.
Great. Do you want your rabbits?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Do you want your sewing machine?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You're going to go pick those things up. Do you have any of her clothes?
Anything that she left in her room is bagged up, yes.
Okay. She's going to come and pick up all of her things within 5 days with an escort. That will be prepared as an order. That takes care of your counterclaim.
Thank you.
Now, I want you to list for me what items you are alleging that she took from your house when she came to house sit.
An Xbox 360.
Xbox?
Yes, Your Honor.
You took it?
Yeah. It's
Why?
my belongings. She gave it to me for Christmas about 3 years ago.
Did you give her the Xbox 3 years ago?
It was bought 2 years ago, and she wasn't even placed in my home at that time, and I do have the receipt for it.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. There it is. That's the original, that's the copy.
Actually, she's correct. You purchased it 3 years ago, right before Christmas.
Correct.
The Xbox is hers. What's
But
next?
she was not in my
What's
home.
next?
She was not in my home.
What's
I have
next?
proof that she was not in my home.
What's next? You didn't
I-
buy it 2 years ago. You bought it 3 years ago.
She
November
was not
28th.
placed in my home then.
Let us move on. What's next?
Okay. All right. The Kinect that went with it.
Forget it. Next.
The 2 controllers that went with it.
Next.
All the leather working tools and all
Just
the leather.
a second. Leather working tools.
Mhm.
Who does leather working? You do. Did you take the leather working tools?
She bought them for me at Tandy Leather because I'm in cosplay, and she got it so that I can work on something for my cosplay.
I have some questions for you. In your home, do you have any silver products, sterling silver, frames?
Not solid silver, but yes.
Valuable?
No. All of that's been stolen.
And don't keep cash in the house?
No.
You like your cats and dogs?
Dogs, yes.
Dogs?
Mhm.
What kind of dogs do you have?
English bulldogs.
Many.
3.
She didn't take those?
No.
She didn't take your living room set, dining room set?
She had
Didn't
no
take
means
chairs,
to take any
didn't
of
take
that.
chairs, tables, anything else, and no extra jewelry that was lying around?
There was none.
No. So she took leather, Xbox. What else?
She took the Galaxy phone that I'm paying for, that I had paid off,
You mean a cell phone?
that I am still paying for.
Just a second. Is that Galaxy phone, does that have your phone number on it or hers?
It is mine.
Don't show me a receipt. All I have to do is call.
I'm not. Yes, it ring. Yes, it will. I'm paying for it.
It'll ring in whose hand?
Hers, but it belongs to me.
Forget it. What's next?
No.
What
I'm
the
not gonna
fuck?
forget it.
Oh, yes, you
Actually,
are. So far,
no.
we're forgetting it. Next.
It's on my plan.
Next.
I'm paying for it.
Next.
I want the house keys back from my house.
Do you have the house keys?
I gave them to her. She changed the locks. They were left.
That
on
is
the,
not true.
They were left on the bench in the front porch.
That is not true.
Next.
Okay, the Samsung tablet.
That was a birthday gift for me last year.
That was a birthday gift.
Yes.
On what date is your birthday?
August 6th.
I'd like to see the receipt.
You have it photocopied, but I'll give you the original.
I'd like to see the receipt. Bird, where is it? Where do I find the date here?
6/9/2000.
June 9th. June 9th. That's not even close to your birthday.
She got it for me before, probably. I wasn't
I
there
don't
when
care.
she got it.
I don't care. Okay. Give her back the tablet. when you come and get the rest of your things. Do you understand?
Yes.
What's next?
My hairdressing shears?
Do you have hairdressing shears in your possession?
No.
No. Did you take them from the house?
No.
Next.
My professional blemish extractor?
Let's go.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So when you come to get your clothes, you bring her back the tablet. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, very good. We're done here. Thank you.
All right. Can I shut the cell phone off?
We're done.
Sam, what kind of fucking idiot person are they? Oh my god. Some people are so dumb. A 1 with a 4? Okay. Moving on. You definitely gotta watch the foster mom one there, Sam. That was pretty good. What's with the fucking 7s?
So I'm going to create a visual from the papers that I've read. Miss Brown, you and the Turners live in the same community.
Yes, ma'am.
And are these your two boys?
Yeah.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
What's your name?
Lamar.
And the boys play, and they play in the street in front of your house, and sometimes they sort of spill over into your yard. Based upon what I'm reading here, you found that annoying because in addition to playing in front of your yard, sometimes they deposit trash there. You know, they'll eat an ice cream or a candy, and the wrapper ends up where you are. Anyway, at some point, the boys were playing basketball, and Lamont left his basketball in your yard.
Yes, ma'am.
You had enough. You took the basketball and you took it inside.
Yes.
You were pulling out in your car. Was that the next day or the same day?
Well, can I?
No. Next day or the same day?
It was several days.
Several days later. Was it just Lamont and his brother, or were there other kids around too?
There was several other kids.
And they said, do you have that basketball?
Who came to my car was Lamont and another kid.
Okay, so Lamont and another kid came to your car and said, do you have our basketball?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, yes.
I have several balls.
He said, I want it back.
Yeah, he said, I want it back, and you're going to give it to me.
Well, first he said, I want it back. No, he wasn't fresh. He said, I want my basketball.
No, he was fresh.
Not at the beginning. He wouldn't start out being fresh. That's not common sense.
They came to my car, they knocked on the window, and said, you have our ball, we want it back.
And you added, and you're going to give it to me, because that's the fresh part. You have that basketball, and I want it back. That's perfectly reasonable. The other part was not, and I couldn't ascribe that to an 11-year-old. As it happens, he didn't say that to you, because that's not what you told me just a second ago when you revised your statement. At the beginning, you said, you have that ball, and you're going to give it to me. And that's different from the second statement.
Okay.
Then you say, at some point during that exchange, he kicked your car. That's why we're here.
Okay.
About the kick to your car. You, up here. Lamont, did you think that I was just harsh with Mrs. Brown?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No,
I
ma'am.
did. So, after she took the basketball inside, who told you she had the basketball?
She did, because when she was coming down the street, we said...
In the car?
Yeah.
She was in the car.
She said, get out the street. And we wasn't even in the street. We was up in a driveway. And then we walked up to the car and we said, can we get our ball back?
Just a second. I want you to tell me exactly what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, can I get my ball back? And she said, no. And then I was like, I'm going to get my daddy. And she said, excuse my language. Can I say exactly what she said? She said, go get your daddy.
So, did that make you angry?
Yes.
Did you kick her car?
No, ma'am.
Who kicked her car?
No one.
Somebody kicked her car. I believe what you said to me so far, but she's going to show me pictures of her car. You're a little boy. You can't do that much damage. So, really, she cursed.
Yes.
And what did you do when she cursed?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I went to go get my daddy.
Okay. Go sit down. Okay, so he came up to the car. I actually believe exactly what he said you said to him. And was at that point that he kicked your car?
No.
When did he kick your car?
Since they were all in the street, I went over to the crowd of boys and girls. I asked where he stayed. They wouldn't tell me. And then someone yelled, he lives around the corner. So I went around the corner. I was knocking on doors to try to find out who his parents were.
Why?
Because there had to be somebody in the neighborhood.
Why?
Because I needed to talk to his parent.
About what?
Because he was disrespectful.
He was disrespectful?
Yes, ma'am.
I actually think what you said to him was disrespectful.
Well, I never said anything about his father because I didn't know who his father was or where he
I know
was.
you didn't know it.
I never
That's
said
not
anything.
Okay, so you were going around the neighborhood to try to find his parents because he said something disrespectful to you. I want you to tell me what he said that was disrespectful.
That we want our ball back. So I wanted to talk to the parents.
Well, that's not disrespectful.
Well, I felt disrespected.
Well, I don't care what you felt. I'm telling you, it's not disrespectful.
Okay, I appreciate that.
But now you're going around to try to find out where his parents live.
Yes, ma'am. And they wouldn't tell me. So when I came back from knocking on the door, I said, I'll give you $5 if you tell me who his parents are. They said, we don't rock that way, quote unquote. And then at that point, as I'm sitting in my car, he came up and he kicked the car.
Okay.
Then one of the other boys restrained him because he then said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Okay, now I'd like to see a photograph of what you allege he did to your car.
Okay. This is the car as it looks. There's a damage to the car and the door. There's also a police report with him admitting to kicking the car.
I'd like to see that too.
And also his statement about...
Bert, would you tell me what this is a picture of?
Where is the damage?
It's this right here.
Okay, Lamont, listen to me. Back up here. I'm going to give you a lesson that hopefully is for the rest of your life. You either lied to me today or you lied to the police when you spoke to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because you couldn't have told the truth both times because you told the police that you kicked the car. And you even told the police why you kicked the car. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the police why you kicked the car?
No.
You told the police that you kicked the car because Brown called him a little boy. That's a quote from the police. So either you were lying to the police or you're lying to me. You want to tell me which one it is?
I lied to the police because
Well, that's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to lie to anybody. How's that? Now you can go sit down. First of all, Miss Brown, I actually don't understand the whole problem with young people playing in the street or playing on grass or maybe dropping a ball on your front lawn. You actually stole his property.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question. That's what I'm saying to you. When you deprive the owner of property of their property,
yes, ma'am,
and you do so with any sort of restraint, and you did so by taking it and moving it into your house, it's a larceny. Just listen to me.
Yes.
That's the law.
May I speak to that? again, that this is not the first time.
I
There have
don't
been several
care.
balls left in my yard, along with trash left in my yard. They would leave their jackets and everything in my yard. I would pick it up and bring it inside. I had several balls. So again, I'm not sure what ball was his or not. But again, with me having to pick up and clean up trash out of the street, plus with them playing ball in the street, it is a hazard because I've lived there 16 years. I've seen a kid get hit. And I was asking them nicely. I've spoken to parents nicely. Please don't let your children play basketball over a two-lane street. That's the reason.
No. You took his property, and if you didn't know who it belonged to, he then told you who it belonged to. You had the responsibility to return it to him, seek to find out who his parents are. You can do that. But what I'm telling you is when you hold on to someone's property and refuse to return it to them, it's a larceny.
Well,
I don't care it's a well.
I didn't larceny
You're not a lawyer. Are you a lawyer?
My yard.
Are you a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
I'm telling you, it's a larceny. It's the same thing. Let's say it wasn't a basketball, and it was a 4-carat engagement ring that you found on your lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took it and you took it inside. And the person said, gee, I know I dropped it. It had to be here. Came up, knocked at your door and said, do you have my 4-carat engagement ring? And you said, yes, I do. It was on my lawn, and you can't have it back.
But I had several balls.
I don't care.
I mean, a 4-carat
now
ring
you're
is
playing,
totally different than several balls.
You're playing with me.
No, I'm not playing with you. I'm
you're
telling
playing
you
with me.
exactly.
That doesn't excuse Lamont from kicking your car. I kicked the car because either he lied to me or he lied to the police. He told the police he told closer in time to the event. Now
I
he's
wasn't
had time
out
to
there when he talked with the police.
I'm speaking. Now he had time to reflect. He had time to talk to his father, who probably got just as annoyed as I am with her, and say, uncross your hands. Because I know his father wouldn't like a liar any more than I like a liar, right? Because he either lied to the police or he lied to me. You wouldn't encourage your child to lie to the police, would you?
Bro, I wouldn't even let him talk to the police.
He did speak to the police.
And so did he, because it's in the
I'm not speaking to you.
Lady spoke with him when I wasn't out there.
I don't
So I don't
care.
know what was said.
I don't care. Your responsibility as a father is to say to your son, if you told the police the day of this incident that you kicked the car because she called you a name, and that's the truth, you have to stick with that story. I'll take it up with Miss Brown, but you don't encourage your son to lie. Do you understand me?
I understand what you're
Great. Now I will see an estimate of what it costs to fix your car.
I never seen the car, seen the damage. How you know the damage wasn't there before that?
How do I know the earth is round?
For real.
You don't understand what I'm saying to you. I think that Miss Brown is 100% off base. They're kids. They're playing sports in the street. They're not doing anything bad for society. They're not doing anything illegal. They're playing basketball. That's what they're supposed to be doing at age 9 and 11. So I have no sympathy for her at all. You get that? He can't kick her car. That's not the response to something that you don't agree with. He goes home, he says to his father or to his mother, this lady down the street has my basketball and she won't give it to me. Then you go to her house and you say, you have my son's basketball. Tell me what the problem is. Do you understand how civilized people take care of their problems? And if you condone your son kicking her car in response to her bad behavior, that's inappropriate teaching. You got it? Judgment for the plaintiff came out to $700. We're done. What year did you and Miss Ward decide to go to the state of Washington?
I want to say, was it December, late December of last year, January this year.
And you took Miss Ward and Mr. Reed's daughter with you?
Yes, ma'am. We took our family with us, yes.
Well, you took his family with you.
You're correct.
And so this is what I'm gathering, putting together this case. You left the state of California with your 2 children.
Yes.
You said you were moving there for a better life.
Yes, ma'am.
And in all probability, without Mr. Reed's consent, you took his daughter as well. Did you have Mr. Reed's consent before you moved with your daughter?
No.
These papers don't make that clear, but I assume there was a lawsuit brought by Mr. Reed.
Yes, ma'am.
To return his daughter to her home state, which was California.
You're correct, yes, ma'am.
And the judge who heard that case agreed with him.
Yes.
And said, you're a mother, you're a father, you each have rights. You can't take Mr. Reed's child out of the state of California because your family wants a better life without consulting him and putting him in the mix. Child is entitled to have 2 parents.
Your Honor, Mr. Reed
I'll
hasn't
take
been in
that.
child life. He hasn't been around.
Well, what I can tell you is, from what I gather from the papers, he now has custody of his daughter.
You're correct.
Since when?
He had custody in September, but we went back to court and we got joint custody.
How are you going to manage
Right?
joint custody
I feel
from
that.
the state of California to the state of Washington?
The judge allowed her to come visit me on her breaks, her winter, summer, spring breaks.
That's great. So you have her during holidays, winter breaks, and during the summer.
Right.
And other than that, she lives with her father in the state of California.
Right.
Who do you live with, sir?
I stay with my grandmother right now.
And where is your daughter living? With you and your grandmother?
Yes.
How is she?
She's very good. We just had a birthday party not too long ago. She had a blast. Like November 19th, she just turned 7. She's having fun. Me and her's reconnected very good. It hasn't been that good since she went away from her mother. It's kind of hard to undo everything that they have done.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We have video that's showing that his daughter is telling that she's there with him. She wants to come back home.
Well, the problem, sir, is that you made a life choice to leave so that effectively...
The reason why I left was because of harassment from him and his family. They came into my door with weapons. I walk my kids to school. They come in with guns. They've been threatening my life. So.
I don't know what this lawsuit is about. I'm not quite sure. What you're suing for are the expenses that you had to incur coming back and forth to litigate this case from the state of Washington to California.
That's true, and also for harassment against Mr. Reed, and my moving costs because I moved out of state, trying to get away from his family and the threats.
Well, that's not what you told me initially. What you told me initially was that you moved to the state of Washington because you had friends there and because you wanted a better way of life for you and your family. That's what you initially told me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I probably was a combination of things. Didn't necessarily need Mr. Reed in your family life. You have a lovely family, 2 children, and 3 with Mr. Reed's daughter, and she was well enmeshed in your family, which is all very lovely, but your mistake was your mistake, saying to him, you are a non-parent. We don't have to ask you if we want to move.
No, we had no contact with him.
For how long?
For years.
We went to court.
We have video.
Just a second.
We had a court hearing in October of 2015 where he was supposed to come pick her up from school every other weekend and every Wednesday, and I have video evidence.
Just a second. Who brought that proceeding?
The judge.
No. The judge doesn't bring a proceeding. Either you brought a proceeding against him, or he brought a proceeding against you for visitation with his daughter.
He did.
He did. Just a second. That would be very, very odd, Mr. Galloway. Mr. Galloway, did you ever seek and receive a protective order against Mr. Reed? Did you ever seek a court-ordered protective order against Mr. Reed and received one? Is my question.
No, I have not. I've received bogus reports.
That's not what I'm talking about. Did Mr. Reed ever seek a protective order against you?
He's tried.
Just a second. The answer would be yes.
Yes.
He did. And was he granted a temporary restraining order?
It was denied.
I didn't say final. Was he granted a temporary?
No, ma'am.
Was not. So that you didn't risk being arrested. When you said that you risked being arrested.
That's just 2 days ago.
Oh, that's outrageous. What? Who are you?
I'm the aunt.
Yes,
I'm the witness.
We have a restraining order against her.
Just a second. Right now, I don't have to hear from you.
Okay.
Because he's not losing this case so far. And I don't think he will. But you really have to realize, Miss Ward, that your 7-year-old daughter didn't ask to be involved in this unfortunate family circumstance. You made her, she was born. And I assume that when you made her, you planned on trying to make her childhood as happy as possible. I assume that that's what both of you wanted when you had this child.
Yes.
That be right? Unfortunately, it didn't work out between the two of you. That doesn't mean that you can discard him. Now, you have a lovely new mate with whom you have 2 children. I assume you're working in the state of Washington?
I have my own business.
What kind of business?
I'm a club promoter and I'm a music producer.
And you work in Washington?
I work in different states. I travel back and forth.
Well, then the state of Washington could have been a possibility for you, as could have another place closer in California.
Yeah, I was trying to. We moved out of because we were walking one day while Jeanette was pregnant. She was pregnant. Some guys, the lady right here, and the daughter, and her dad pulled up on us with a gun, saying that we were in the wrong place. We moved out for our protection.
Just a second.
We moved out of
Don't
California.
speak.
And they pulled out a gun. They had a gun.
I don't want you to speak.
While she was pregnant.
Just a second. Them.
And they came to our
Just a
door.
second. Just a second. I'm not getting into them. I'm talking about him.
He sent them. He's texting me while this is happening.
Mr. Galloway, you don't have a case against him, but all I can tell you is you have a 7-year-old child. You can make her childhood miserable or you can make her childhood happy. I guarantee you this. If you make her child miserable, she's going to get back at you tenfold with her behavior. She's going to... You're far too involved with this, sir. You're far too involved.
Because he's hiding behind. He's hiding behind some things. This video showed it.
Did you notice? You notice how you're quiet? Is it because you understand?
No, I'm just waiting to speak.
I'm listening.
When I moved, I thought I had full custody. He wasn't in her life. I wasn't out asking for child support. And every time we moved to get away from him, they end up finding us, and my life and my family life was in danger. So we decided to move to Washington. And when
I want to tell you something. Unless this family court judge was totally out of his mind, he would never have returned the child to her father. Now, I don't know what the circumstances were, and I have absolutely no intention of spending 2.5 hours to figure out the whys. All I know is her father went to court twice that I know of, probably more, in order to get visitation with his daughter, which I have a feeling, based upon what I'm hearing over here, was probably made difficult for him. Otherwise, I don't understand why he would spend time and money to go to family court and seek visitation, seek an order of visitation. I don't understand. You have no case. Goodbye. The quinceañera is the
quinceañera is the lady who's being celebrated, and the chambelán is the gentlemen who are going to go with her for the dance and all that. And that's like an honor table, which usually is 10 chairs extra, besides the 50 chairs for the 500 people, 10 chairs in each table.
And do you rent those from someone?
I own them.
You own them?
Yes.
Because this is your business.
Yes, it is.
So you own the tables and chairs and tablecloths and everything else. Great. And who prepares the food?
A catering company does, and sometimes we do. If we only have one party, if we have 4 parties, a catering company does for us.
Who prepared the food for this event?
A catering company.
Were you personally at this event?
I was. I left from 7 to 8 to pick up the cake that, if you see in the contract, we actually give her the cake for the 500 people.
Okay, so what was the problem with the event?
The problem with the event is because a quinceañera for us is very, very big.
Just tell me what the problem was.
Okay, the problem was that the bartender was never showed up. Her husband was the bartender, was inappropriately dressed. I had a jar with said tips, which people were actually putting tips when he would make the beverage. My husband showed him how to actually do the beverages, or otherwise he wouldn't have been doing it. My daughter witnessed when he was drinking the beverages that we bought, okay? Another thing, he was selling our beverages that we provided in that thing. The main table that is a big deal for us, it was holding onto tubes. It was inappropriately, I have proof, inappropriately stand. The table didn't even fit the chambelanes and the damas that I told her that we were going to have in the
I don't understand what that is.
Okay, there's a main table.
Table that she described for your daughter,
yes,
and young men who are going to be dancing with her.
Which is the main table where
I understand. Okay. And what was wrong with that table?
She didn't put enough chairs. She did not put it the appropriate way where she told us she was going to do to that main table. It was only a curtain on the back of it. That's the only thing. No other thing was done to it. The tables, some of them had 10 chairs, some of them had 8 chairs. And there were only 35 tables, which I set the hall for 500 people, which should have been 50 tables.
You're not getting your money back. She prepared a party. She fed 515 people. She paid for the venue. You used her property. And if there were little things that went wrong that you weren't satisfied with, you'd say, you know what? Somebody asks me again whether I would recommend her. No, I was not happy. I wasn't happy that her husband was the bartender. I wasn't happy that he had a tip jar there. All you have to do is say to the husband, take the tip jar away. It's inappropriate to have a tip jar at this kind of party. You don't get your money back. Your daughter had her party. She paid for the catering for 515 people. You used the venue. Do you understand all of that?
Well, yeah, but she didn't provide me for 500 people because we were short. She fed her actually workers from the food that we paid for.
So what? When you make an event, most of the time, the help at one point or another is entitled to a meal. When did this party start?
It started at 5. They opened the hall.
Until when?
Till 12 o'clock.
So from 5 to 12, you had the venue. Did you have music?
I did.
And from 5 to 12, I assume that people ate and drank?
Yes.
You don't get your money back. Were you ever living with the plaintiff?
For about a month, yes.
When? What month?
The end of July 31st, I want to say to about August 15th or 16th.
Well, that's 2 weeks.
Well, it seemed about a month. It was probably about 3 weeks. I would say I moved out the 21st. It was a Saturday.
And what day did you purchase the motorcycle?
Beginning of August. It was early August.
August 19th was the day that we purchased the motorcycle.
Okay. Well, then you didn't leave on the 15th of August.
I moved out before we had purchased the motorcycle.
Tell me why.
I caught her in bed with another guy.
Well, that's sort of interesting. Then why was the gift, do you believe?
Because pretty much every time she got caught doing something, she figured she would pretty much buy my love. The reason she bought the motorcycle is because I was taking care of my mom. She was just getting over cancer, and I'd quit my job. And I didn't have a job. I was doing personal training at the time. And she was like, come over to my house. She lives in Rockland. I live in Oak Grove. It's about a 40-mile commute. And I was like, you know, I just sold my car for my mom's medical bills. I don't have a car. She was like, she had got tired of me lifting back and forth to her house. So she was like, I know.
Try at age 33 to eliminate the word like from your vocabulary.
I apologize. So she would get tired of me lifting to her house. So she said, I'll just...
Well, all right. Explain this to me. On the 15th of August, according to you, you found that she had cheated on your relationship. That's what you say. I'm not taking that for the truth of the statement, but that's what he said. And you left the house. Tell me how the motorcycle came about.
She wanted me to come over, and I said I didn't have a ride.
So you mean within a few days?
No, actually that same night. And I was like, I'm not coming over. I'm not going to talk to you. And then she got off work at 7 in the morning, and she came over to my house. And I was like, leave. I don't want to talk to you.
So she came to where
Pick a
you were
number,
living.
Sam.
Is that with your mother?
Yes.
She drove?
Yes.
So that would have been on the 16th.
The next morning, yes, because I left on the 15th.
And what happened on the 17th?
I believe along the lines was...
Don't believe. I'm still trying to figure out how the motorcycle got purchased on the 19th.
Well, it was like a 4-day process because she couldn't pull out all the money at one time because she has an online bank.
Just a second.
But we already had agreed to talk.
No. Come back to me.
I'm fine.
We're on the 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
You left.
Yes.
Are you telling me that you had been in discussions with her previously about the motorcycle?
Before I even had moved out.
Before you? Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have to go back.
Yes.
So before you felt that she betrayed you, you had a discussion about the motorcycle.
Yes,
when did those discussions start?
Right after we came back from Vegas, August 1st.
Tell me about the discussion.
She said, let's buy you a car. And I said, no, I don't want to buy a car right now. Insurance is too much. I can't afford it. And I said, it'd just be cheaper if we got a bike because it's $20 to fill up the gas tank and I won't get caught in traffic. And then I can get to your house faster so you won't complain about me being in traffic because there's major traffic for like 15 miles in our house.
Very charitable. Keep going.
And I was like, well, there's no way I can afford a bike right now because, my finances. I was like, maybe we could just get an old bike. I said, maybe we can get an old bike for right now, just in the meantime, because I start my job in a month, just so I can come back and forth, so I can be with you all the time like you want me to be. And she was like, okay, that's fine. And I said, I'll go on Craigslist and look up some prices, and I'll give you a sheet of things that are the cheapest. And we were sitting at the computer one day. She walked in the house and said, hey, this one's cheap. It's close to the house. Let's call the guy. We called the guy, and, it was a 3-day process of us getting the bike, and I moved out on the 15th, and then she started withdrawing money after that for the bike.
You mean after you moved out?
Yes, because it was like her way of getting me to come back home.
Who went and picked up the bike?
Both of us.
Well, evidently you worked.
No, I was not working at this time. I didn't start.
No, not you worked. It worked. If
we
you
tried.
both went and picked up the bike, evidently paying you off with the bike worked.
It worked for the meantime, yes.
So you were able to get over your bruised ego in 4 days with the bike. I'm just trying to figure it all out.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. So 3 weeks later, after the bike is in impound, where are you living?
Back at my mother's house.
Not staying with her at all?
No.
Never?
I'd go back and forth.
Let's see.
I'd go back and forth.
You know that
to
there
her
are
house.
pieces of the story that are going to make sense and pieces that are not going to make sense.
I'd go back and forth to her house.
So that you are back and forth with her. So when you said the relationship was over on the 15th or the 19th, that's a lie.
Our relationship was over, but we continued to still talk, and I'd go hang out with her, and we'd see each other.
Right. And sufficiently so that when you needed legal fees, you took some more money.
No, it wasn't even about that.
What was it about?
I tried to help her. She was involved in a lot of stuff, and I'd be like, I gave her ultimatums. I was like, if you want me to come back in your life, you have to stop drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning when you wake up. I was like, you have to stop lying. You have to stop doing this. I have text messages of me saying, hey, these are the things that I need you to do before I come back into your life. And while you're working on these things, I'm willing to be a part of your life. Because I just didn't want to leave her and just 86 out of her life. I didn't want to be like that. Regardless of how she tried to buy my love back, I didn't want to be that guy and just leave.
I'm just asking you about $300 for legal fees. I'm not asking you to defame her. I'm asking you about $300 in legal fees.
Well, you had asked me about why I was going back and forth.
No, I'm asking you about
the $350 in legal fees. I hadn't gotten my first paycheck, and she was like, I'll take care of your legal fees. And I said, okay, I'll take care of the lawyer. She paid the beginning part of, she paid the beginning part of the lawyer.
And how much was the lawyer altogether?
The lawyer altogether, I believe, was...
And the name of the lawyer?
$1,800. I couldn't recall. It was Wilkinson.
And he charged you $1,800?
Yes, ma'am.
Where'd you get the other money from?
I used my own personal money, because I didn't have the money at the time to retain him. and she just paid the retainer, and then I had to see him, and I had to pay him after that.
And he appeared for you how many times?
Just one time.
And when she gave you the $300, what did you say to her?
I told her I needed it for the lawyer, and I said thank you. We went to go pick up the money. We rode to the lawyer's office. I ran upstairs. I gave it to him, and I came back downstairs.
Okay. So the motorcycle was $2,400?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an impound.
I have no idea where it is.
You don't have it, though.
No, ma'am.
So it must still be an impound if it's not registered in your name.
She held it hostage. I have no idea where it's
She
at or
can't
what's
hold it
going on.
hostage if you have a motorcycle.
She never gave me the pink slip.
Is that right?
Yes, because it was not a gift.
Just a second. So you retained the pink slip?
Yes.
Then you don't get the money for it. Then you should have registered it and gotten it out of impound.
Yes, it was.
Good. So fine. If you did not give him the pink slip, then he cannot, because he's not the title holder, get it out of impound. You have to do that. And if right now, which is months later, either they've auctioned it off because you didn't do anything, you woke up a little too late.
The license. You need a license to get it out. I didn't know at the time when I bought it that he didn't have a license.
Just a second. You get a license.
Do you have to actually ride a motorcycle?
I have no idea. It's nothing that you even looked into.
She knows the process. We
Just a
sat at the
second.
computer and looked at
Just a
it
second.
together.
She doesn't get the money for the motorcycle because she owns the motorcycle. She has the pink slip. She does get the $300, though, for your legal fees. That was your fault.
That's fine.
That's good. Glad my little buddy's finally asleep. Right? Well, I guess it gets the job done. Okay. Wish you got more spins with more wheels you got. Maybe it just gives you more of the wilds. My silly little buddy. I should go start my laundry. So I have my work clothes washed. I didn't do that last week. Ugh. I'm really bad for that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, what the hell? Why is everything so wet right here? Oh, God. Oh. Yeah, fuck off. Goddamn 22. Really? Really? Fuck off with the 22s. Every fucking time.
Your lawsuit is, so you did no work in the house. At some point, you say you were notified, and you must have reports to show me, that there was stuff going on in the house that caused your neighbors to call the police, and the police came. There was domestic violence. When you finally heard about it, you went and you found that the whole property looked like a trash house. She had vehicles parked in the front. She had a trailer in the back, up in the backyard, where some other people were living. Correct. What kind of trailer?
I wasn't there when the trailer was there.
Well, how do you know there was a trailer there?
Because of his paperwork. It was there at one point in time, but...
So there was a trailer. Well, and let's get it straight.
Yes, there was a trailer.
He has pictures?
Yes, there was a trailer.
I mean, you can make up things. You can make up things, you know, like you're the Wicked Witch of the North, or you're like the Good Witch from the East, or whatever it is. But for him to say she had a trailer parked in the yard, that's not something that he makes up.
It was something to do with him and the people that were back there.
Who?
Gary.
You mean he had tenants living back there in a trailer?
He told them people they could put the trailer back there.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Hey, listen, I find a lot about you suspect. just from the foot to foot, I find a lot about your suspect. Did you move the trailer back there?
I did not know.
Do you know who did?
I know who put the trailer back there, yes.
Who did?
Renee and Tyler.
Who is that?
It's a mutual friend of all of ours.
What was your relationship with the guy who was living in this house, his business partner?
We were just friends. His daughter also lived there, too, in the beginning. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I was downstairs. Fred and his daughter were upstairs.
Who lived in the trailer?
Nobody lived in the trailer. The trailer was just parked there.
Now, at some point, you moved to evict Miss Warburg. Tell me when you moved to evict her, and first tell me when, and then I'd like to see the paperwork indicating why, and the documentation.
That was September 12th, 2016.
Okay, tell me why.
Why? I got a call from officer of the Brooklyn Park Police Department.
I'd like to see the report.
Okay. Here's the eviction notice.
No. First, I want to see the police report.
Police reports.
And
these
then?
are for abatements, and these are from the Brooklyn Park Police.
Okay, good. Who's Kathleen Marie?
It's my friend.
And Pixley was your boyfriend?
Yes.
And you had an argument with him on July 19th?
I did.
And you wanted him out of the house?
Right.
So you told your friend who was staying with you to call the police and get him out of...
She wasn't staying with me. She was there. I was at the cemetery.
No, I understand, but she had been there for a couple of days, according to the police report.
She'd spent the night. Yes.
And you told her to call the police to have them get him out of there?
Yes.
Okay, so he didn't want to leave. You came back from the cemetery on July 19th, and then you had another fight with him, and the police came back to the house on that date. Okay, and he was off his meds, is that correct? And he did some damage inside the house.
No, he spit on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, break anything.
According to the police report, he,
I'm not talking to you yet. And your daughter had gotten into a verbal argument with the same boyfriend back in May?
No, that was her boyfriend.
Oh, that's a different person.
Right.
Your daughter has a drug problem?
Yes, she does.
Boyfriend too?
No.
He does not?
No, he does not. He's clean and sober.
Your Honor, I have evidence that he OD'd.
That was my...
We're talking about his daughter's boyfriend. Kathleen is the same person.
Right.
She also called the police on the 19th?
That's the same day.
Then again on July 23rd?
I believe that was Julie had called the police that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about Mariah's boyfriend. And he had showed
Was your
up.
daughter's boyfriend staying at the house?
No, he was not. Not at
But
that
your
time.
daughter was?
No, my daughter wasn't either. I had custody of their kids at that time.
Her kids?
Mariah's, my daughter's children, my grandchildren.
How old are they?
2 and 5.
You have them through the foster care system?
I did.
So what was she doing in the house?
She wasn't there.
She was in your house.
What date was that?
Whatever date it was, what was she doing in the house?
No, in the beginning she was allowed there. It was after she didn't show up to court, and I believe that was in July or August. It was in August, and then she wasn't allowed there. But they were allowed to see the kids. Both her and Philip were. Philip's got custody of the children now.
Who does?
The father, the dad. He got them back. He did everything he had to.
Who's Renee Curtis?
She's one of the ones that put the trailer in the backyard.
And Tyler is her boyfriend?
Yes.
And he was also in the trailer?
He wasn't there that time.
But he had been in the trailer?
He had been, yeah.
So based on these reports, you moved to evict her?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. I would.
Anybody.
You have to help me. I would too.
Funeral home owner Monty Roberts says Cheryl Torres owes for funeral costs for her son.
Now, what was the conversation that the two of you had with regard to that? Because that's what you're suing for.
Right.
You're suing for funeral expenses.
I explained to her that our funeral home never turns anybody away. I offered her a variety of different options, including free. That would have been what's called a Tarrant County burial. It's a dignified manner in which to get somebody buried. We own a cemetery as well as a funeral home. We sponsor, in part, with that program.
Okay. She didn't want to have a free funeral.
Yes, that's correct.
That kind of funeral. That is
That's correct.
You wanted a proper burial for your son, which you considered was a proper burial.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he offered you a free service, but small, but dignified.
Dignified.
But small.
But no ceremony.
But Ms. Torres didn't want that.
Correct.
And then who mentioned this fund?
I mentioned the fund once she told me the way that she put it was her son was murdered. I wanted to make sure that she knew that there were options available, including a fund through Tarrant County for any victim of a crime. They would pay up to $5,000.
Okay. And do you have a contract with her?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Because what I assume is you did a funeral for her that she was satisfied with, but ultimately she did not get this grant.
That is correct.
Either because they did not view what happened to her son as murder, because I can't imagine if he was in fact murdered, or he's a crime victim, why they would not approve it.
The contract you're reading is both for funeral and cemetery.
I got it. Okay, would you show Ms. Torres this document, please? That is your signature there, Ms. Torres, when it says buyer?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand you have a binding contract with him to pay for the funeral service.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that?
Yes.
Well, give me the reason why you didn't pay him.
Okay. So everything was not discussed with Mr. Monty.
I don't care what was discussed. I have a contract that you signed.
Okay.
The contract is very, very simple. It says that you are purchasing this. I actually understand what happened because they probably, on your behalf, submitted your son's name, etc., to this Victims' Compensation Board for the purposes of them covering the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
They decided that your son's death did not fit within the parameters of what they do, so they turned you down. You're still obligated under this contract.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your. So why didn't you pay him?
Well, I was paying. He had hired an attorney. I did pay a couple of payments to him.
How much?
I think it was $200 or $300 that I paid to him.
And then why did you stop?
And it's not that I so much stopped. It's that it was getting too hard that my bills weren't fitting with everything else.
But you were prepared. Just for my own information, you were prepared to spend $3,000. Where were you going to get the $3,000 from?
Well, I would have tried to find it from somewhere. I mean, my.
Yeah. Mike Lowry. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I saw that.
Family. Just for my own information, before I figure out how much you owe them, I would like you to tell me why you think you're entitled to live someplace without paying rent.
Why they left?
No, why you think that you're entitled to live someplace without paying rent.
Without paying rent?
When the bike was first brought in.
Rent? No.
Any rent.
I offer myself to pay my. That we sign a lease, all three together.
Just listen to me. Pay careful attention to me. I want to know when was the last month you paid any rent to the landlord?
April.
Was that in April?
In April.
Was the last?
April, May. Because we are due from June.
Shh. Would you explain to me why the? So you were planning a birthday party for your 9-year-old, and from what I'm putting together, she was at your house, and the conversation developed about what you were going to do for your daughter's birthday. And you indicated that you were going to take her to a concert. What concert?
The Jacob Sartorius concert. He's the next Justin Bieber, I guess, to these girls, anyway.
Well, tell me about the conversation that you had.
Well, my daughter actually was talking about it, and I wanted to do a surprise for her, and I looked him up, and I found out that he was actually playing on her birthday. I thought it would be cool. Nothing was mentioned to the girls until I spoke with her. That's a lie. And I spoke with her about it.
What did you say to her?
I said that the concert was going to be playing on Mackenzie's birthday, and if she wanted to take her girls, and she really wasn't too interested because she didn't know what her finances was going to be because she had an income tax check coming. She said she'd have to let me know. So I went ahead and purchased the tickets a couple days later.
Just a second. You went and purchased how many tickets?
2.
One for you and one for your daughter.
That is correct.
On February 17th.
Yes.
Then what happened?
The girls, they were excited for Mackenzie. They kept on asking their mom if she could let them go, and I told them that if their mom says...
Just a second. Where did that happen?
At my house. The girls were always at my house.
Okay. But this was supposed to be a surprise for Mackenzie. So if Mackenzie was talking to the girls about it, clearly it wasn't a surprise anymore. You bought the tickets on the 17th, and then you must have told her.
Well, it was a surprise as far as she didn't know that I purchased the tickets for sure. I mentioned it to her if she would want to go, but I never told her I purchased the tickets.
Well, I've had children, so I know things. So if you say to a 9-year-old, how would you like to go to a concert, and it's somebody that she's crazy about, and it's a birthday, and unless you hate your child, you don't hate her, do you?
No, I love my child.
Then she says, that's what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm going to the concert. Oh, that's so exciting. So don't tell me that you didn't tell her, because unless you hated her, it would be like saying, if you're really hungry, you can have a hamburger. I'm really hungry. Yeah, you can't have the hamburger. I decided against it. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, very good. So now you told your daughter that she was going to the concert. Now, where was your daughter and the defendant's 2 daughters when the discussion came up? Again, after the 17th, when you would purchase the 2 tickets.
Her kids were always at my house, but they were not there when the discussion of me purchasing the tickets actually came about. That was between Mackenzie and her daughters, that she was so excited about she was going.
Just a minute. So your daughter, not in your presence, spoke to the defendant's daughters and told them that she was going to the concert.
Possibly going.
No, she didn't say possibly.
Well,
no
you're right.
way. No way did she say possibly. No way. She said, I'm so excited my mom got me tickets to go to the concert on my birthday. That's what she said. And then the defendant's 2 daughters started to pester her and say, we want to go. Could we go? 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 Please let us go. That sounds normal, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Relentless.
Relentless. Now I'm going to come to you. So what did you tell your girls?
I let them go because it was my oldest.
Just a second. What do you mean you let them go? The reason you hadn't told her on the 15th that they could go was because of finances.
Yes.
You said, I can't afford those tickets.
Right now, at this time, I cannot afford them. She purchased the tickets, as shown in my text messages. She went ahead and purchased them on her own before I wholeheartedly agreed to it.
I don't want to hear wholeheartedly.
Well, I was in the process of finding out what it was going to cost me, what the total cost.
On what date did she purchase the tickets
for
you?
On March 1st, 4
no,
days.
Then
it was weeks worth of...
No, Miss Moore. Then she went back and purchased additional tickets because she had gotten your approval. She did not... Oh, yes, she did.
No, she did not.
Oh, yeah.
She did not get my approval. No. I have the evidence. I was asking her...
Just a second. I would like to see your evidence that she did not have, because she, I'm sure, has her own, approval to buy tickets
right here
for your girls.
Okay. May I also say that I did offer, and I still, to this day, stick to it. I had no problem purchasing the general admission tickets for the girls. The only thing that I was requesting was the VIP
she's
upgrade.
very, very clear. So altogether, what is it going to cost me and the girls to go? And you explain what you're going to do. And then she says to you, okay, so I'll owe you $160, and you responded to her $161.96, and we will be good.
That's correct.
That's what it says here. Now, what's your problem?
I have an idea for reminders. Water plants, return karaoke machine, bill payment.
Idea? No me in your
RBC mobile app already reminds us of upcoming payments 7 days in advance.
Whoa.
Get a heads up on payments and more with Nomi. Because the limo, because she doesn't want to pay it, because I added another charge of the limo, which happened the very next day.
Just a second. Who gave you authority to do that?
She did right here.
Sorry, it's just been frustrating.
Listen, if you...
Sorry.
Who gave you authority?
Lisa did.
Let me see. Because then you hired a limo to take everybody, and you wanted her to split the limo with you. She said, I never said I would do that. And what is it going to cost for this limo? That's what you said.
I inquired about everything.
And you said to her, I'll split the price of that with you when I get my check in a couple of days.
I did.
Okay, that's what you said. But I don't see her answer to you how much it's going to cost.
Because the next day she sent me a text, which I have right here. I'm just saying the price changed. Over time it was, now you owe me this, now you owe me that. Not what we originally agreed on.
Just a second. What did you originally agree to pay for the
$160,
limo?
$196.
No.
I don't know. Whatever it cost. Whatever it cost.
My witness, I'm sorry.
All I want to do is to see your response to that.
There was a verbal response.
No, just a second. So there must have been a discussion about how you were going to get to the concert.
Yes.
When did that discussion... I'm going to get rid of you.
I'm sorry.
See how fast I can do it?
Yes, I do.
Usually when you have a birthday party and you provide the transportation... Don't speak.
That's what I was trying.
Don't speak.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Money was clearly an issue with her. I got that clearly from her texts. Now, you called and ordered this limo. Very easy to find out when.
On
what date?
On March 4th.
The day before.
The day before.
So now you tell me, when you discussed, would you like to be in this limo with us, and would you pay a third? Show me.
I do not have that other than my witness and all three of us having the conversation together.
On what date?
That was on March 5th.
On the day of the concert?
Yes.
On the day of the concert, you're not getting a third of the limo. That's outrageous conduct. What you did was outrageous conduct, as far as I'm concerned.
But she had agreed by the text message.
Outrageous conduct. Her children are at your house, and Tracy's children are at your house, and everybody's going in a big stretch limo except her, because she's going to be taking her girls in a car. And you didn't talk to her before and say, listen, take your car because I'm going with Tracy and my girls in a limo. I know money's tight for you. You wait until they're there on the day of your child's birthday. You hired a limo 2 days before. You had discussion with your witness about it 2 days before. You had no discussion with the defendant about it 2 days before when you hired it, because you thought it would be wonderful for your daughter.
Ma'am.
And just a second. You just told me that the first she found out about it was the day of the concert when the limo arrived. That's what you just told me. Was that a lie?
No.
Well, then I'm telling you, you're not getting a third for the limo. This is not the first type of case that has this fact pattern that I've heard. It's an old story. Miss Bauer, Mr. Rodriguez was your boy.
She said, even the text message that she said she'd pay half of it. She'd split it with me.
You put her in that position.
Okay.
It was an outrageous position for you to put her in.
That's fine.
You get together, decide to get a limo 2 days before. You don't call her and tell her, listen, don't even bring the girls here, because they're excited if they see a big limo. Don't bring them here, because unless you want to go a third, and a third, take your own car to the concert. You have your tickets, take your own car. Instead, it's a big party. Because once the little girls are there, everybody's excited. Now, you can't have the one with the big bow on it. You have to take that one. That's the one that you're taking. That's what you did, and that's outrageous.
No, that's not even.
That's exactly. Well, then you explain to me why you discussed the limo with Tracy 2 days before, but you didn't discuss it with the defendant.
Tracy 2 days prior. It was discussed the day prior.
Just a second. You've got some nerve with her. You actually have some nerve with her, booking a limo and then saying, I booked a limo to take us all to the concert.
Because all three of us got together. It was her girl's birthday and her girl's birthday, and all three of us discussed that they would all do it together, and we would all split the cost.
Just a second. Either you're lying 5 minutes ago or you're lying now. You told me that the defendant heard about the limo was when the limo came to your house. That's what you told me 5 minutes ago.
That's when she sent the text message.
That's what you told me 5 minutes ago. listen to me carefully. You have to tell me just what story you want me to believe. Did you have a discussion with your friend Tracy and the defendant a day before the birthday and a day before the... Don't look through the... It's not going to help you in there. Did you have a discussion with the defendant before you hired the limo, as you had a discussion either that day or the next day with Tracy? That was the first story. Or is it true that it wasn't until March 5th, after you had already hired the limo and had an agreement with Tracy to share the cost, that you told her, with her girls there, the limo was coming?
It was March 4th with the text message from the defendant that said when I hired the limo. That was when the limo was hired, after she sent me the text back that said that how much is it going to cost that she'll split the price with me.
Is that correct?
I was informed the day before that there was going to be a limo. I asked her how much it was going to cost, and I would help her, but I did not get a response from her. I get some made-up contract that doesn't even have a company name or a letterhead or anything on it.
Let me see what you got. Just
right here.
I don't care if it's got a
This is the contract that I received for the limo. There's no letterhead, nothing.
I don't care.
Sorry. That's what she sent me.
Okay. And this was sent to you the day before?
No, ma'am. That was after. All this is after the fact, when she changed the price to $339.
Just a second. What did she tell you initially?
Just that she was getting a limo.
This is March 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. The day before.
I want to see the response. And what is this?
There was none. There was no response from her at all. It was in the limo when she
told
me.
But you said, I'll split the price of that with you when I get my check.
But what's the cost?
Well, she just sent it to you. This is the cost.
That's the contract that I received from her after the fact.
Okay.
But I don't believe that's the real actual company contract.
This is the real company contract that was sent to me on March 5th.
I just would like,
what showed to her that same day.
All I would like to see is your payment.
Yes.
Now, have you paid her the $161.96?
No, ma'am. I have not.
Is there any reason for that?
Yes, ma'am, because the day after the concert, I did upload pictures on Facebook of my children at the concert. She flipped out on me and said I was taking credit for everything and changed the price to $339, which I have a text message here from her saying this is why the price went up. And I've asked her several times, can you be an adult about this? Let's talk. She chose not to, and I've just stayed away.
Would you explain what your problem was with her posting Facebook pictures?
She said, even the text message that she said she'd pay half of it. She'd split everything.
You put her in that position.
Okay.
It was an outrage.
I actually didn't have a problem with it. My problem was because the text message that she sent to me the night of the concert that said that I had some nerve doing what I did, and that she was very upset, and I upset her girls that my daughter got invited backstage, and her daughter.
She left me in Orlando.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Okay, now I'm just trying to understand what went off. And what went off was the little wrinkle that you put in. Your daughter was invited backstage. How did that happen?
Me and my daughter left the concert, and we were outside waiting for my husband to pick us up.
What happened to the limo?
It was only a one-way. It was contracted for one way.
Okay.
It was too much money the other way. So we were outside waiting for my husband, and a gentleman with a badge had come walking up, and he says, are you okay? And I said, I'm just waiting for my husband. I said, you work here? And he says, yes. And I said, well, I was wondering about the VIP laminate badges that you guys ran out of. And I said, is there any way that we could still get it for my daughter's birthday? And I had other people here. He says, well, I'll do you another favor. He says, how about you just come backstage with me after the show? And he says, I'm Jacob Sartorius' manager. And I was like, really? That's cool. And
did Tracy's daughters go back too?
No.
Just your daughter?
Yes. I did tell them how they could try to find out if they could go back as well, but they left the concert, went outside with my husband instead.
Okay, so that's what started the problem. She got annoyed. Now let me see the text.
May I say something? In the middle of the concert, my daughter started complaining about not being able to see. That's when she said, we don't like complainers, and left, and then came back in the middle of the concert and said, Kenzie's going backstage. You don't have to give us a ride home. David's going to pick us up. That was brought up in the middle of the concert. Her issue with me was posting on Facebook.
Very unfortunate. It's just actually something that is just in good form. If you have a bunch of little girls, it's rude to take your little girl backstage. It's rude and unkind because children can be rude and unkind to each other. I got to go, you didn't. It was so wonderful, I got to. So if everybody came together, everybody should have gone together. She's also suing you for an assault. That happened after this because there was bad blood. The girls are arguing with each other. The girls that used to be friends are no longer friends because the adults behaved badly. But then, on April 17th, you did something else. You want to tell me what happened on April 17th?
I received a call saying that she was suing for my children bullying her child, that she was adding bullying to the suit. Now, mind you, even though
Hold on a second. When you originally, listen to me carefully, Miss Miller, when you originally sued the plaintiff, you sued her in small claims court?
Yes, I did.
What did you sue her for? What amount?
I believe it was for $600.
And when did this bullying come into play?
Over a course of time, her daughter started just saying mean things to my daughter. There was messages that was sent to my daughter on Instagram and on private messaging.
Between what date and what date?
Well, March 24th, it actually had started with the first text message until April the 18th, I believe it was.
Now, did you ever amend that complaint?
Yes, I did.
When?
May 1st or April 29th?
Were you ever served with that amended complaint?
No, ma'am.
Do you have proof of service of that amended complaint?
I do not know if that was served or not.
Well, if you have no proof, then you have no case.
My children never bullied her
She
child.
owes you $305.96. We're done. Thank you. You're Miss Berg.
Yes, I am.
Mr. Benavides.
Yes.
You play pool?
Yes, we do.
Good. And you have a league. Mr. Ralston, what did you have to do with the plaintiff's pool league?
Owned it?
You owned it?
The league, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So explain to me how that works.
They sign up, pay a sanction fee.
Okay. They sign up. Now, why would they sign up with you?
So I was a league operator.
What do they get from that?
The trophies and a banquet and...
They get trophies?
Yep.
And they play against other leagues?
Other teams in the
other
league.
Other teams in the league. And at the end of the year, they get a banquet?
Yes.
And what are the dues?
$20 a year, and then it's $1 to play and $1 if you lose.
$1
to play
and
$1 if you lose a game.
These rules, I got baseball down pat. That's about the only thing. Okay. So they pay you $20 a person. $1 a game and $1 if you lose the match.
Yes, ma'am.
And you play other teams in the league. How many teams do you have?
6.
This is what your claim is, that you played the other teams in the league.
Yes.
And you won. And there was supposed to be prize money provided by Mr. Ralston.
Yes.
And your team came in first place, and you want the prize money, which was supposed to be how much?
600, 400, and 200 for the top 3 teams.
Now, have you played in this league in prior years?
No. It began as...
Don't go back to the beginning.
Oh.
Have you played in other leagues?
Yes, I do.
And when you play in other leagues, you play... And at the end of the period of time, whatever that season is, whoever is in first place got a prize?
Yes.
Second place got a prize?
Yes.
But Mr. Ralston was not in charge of those leagues that you played with?
No.
So now I would like you to tell me what you believe, because your team came in first.
Yes.
Mr. Ralston was not forthcoming with the prize money.
Correct.
That's what you're suing for, the $600
yes.
that you won. He doesn't deny that you came in first place. He says prize money was never something that, at least in his league, was advertised. He said, according to him, you get a trophy and a banquet that he pays for out of the league money.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they get a trophy?
No, ma'am.
But they came in first.
They did come in first.
Did they get a banquet?
They did not.
Why not?
By the time that I had everything set, she had foot surgery, and she didn't want to do it at the time. So we held off on it. And by the time that we were ready to do banquet is when they threatened to sue and assaulted me.
What about their trophies?
I haven't got to that point. They're suing me right now for the money, and then they assaulted me. So
forget the assault. I'm going to hear that in a second, because that's your counterclaim. Did you tell him that you were not ready to have a banquet?
No.
Well, would he know about your foot surgery?
I saw him at Anna's daughter's quinceanera, and I said, hey, when are we going to have this banquet? And he says, well, you're an integral part of this league, and I kind of want to wait till after you have your foot surgery at the beginning of May, and so everybody could go.
When did you win the tournament, by the way, in what month?
We finished at the end of March in 2015.
2015?
Excuse me, 2016. Sorry.
Okay, so now we're in May. So why didn't you do the banquet well before?
I hadn't had time with work. So I waited for the summer because I was going to do a big bonfire and have big trophies and all of that. So I wanted to wait for summer, and then she had her foot surgery.
Okay, now I want you to show me where there was supposed to be a prize. Thank you. Okay. So far, Mr. Ralston, you're really not looking good. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Ralston, I have a sense that you were having some difficulty. Either that or you're just a hustler. My sense is you're a soft-spoken guy. Were you just having some personal difficulties during this time? I don't know, because you wrote to them and you said, there's no longer going to be a banquet for pool league guys. Sorry for the inconvenience, and I don't know when I will give the money to those who placed. That's what you wrote. And that was the beginning of April.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, so you acknowledged then that there was a prize.
Yes.
And you were not interested, or for some reason, don't know when there's going to be a banquet. Certainly no mention of trophies.
It was going to be trophies and a banquet.
Well, I know, but this says, sorry if they feel inconvenienced. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. Okay, so now we are in agreement with that there was going to be prize money.
Yes.
Now I'd like you to show me where the $600 comes in.
That was all verbal in the second meeting that he called, and...
You mean with the team?
With all the teams, because originally...
Were you present?
Yes, I was present.
Were you present, Mr. Benitez?
No, I wasn't.
But you were present?
Anna was as well.
And you were present. Okay. What did he say about the prize money?
He said that if we weren't going to go with the major league that is in Michigan, which originally that was...
Don't go back.
Sorry,
give me originally... Reader's Digest, please.
Okay.
My question is, now we know that there is prize money. The question is, how much?
He told us that the prize money would be 600, 400, and 200, with the remainder being sort of divided up between the people that did not place.
And where was
of what he collected.
And where was he supposed to get this money from? From all the teams? How many people are on a team?
There was 3 people on a team, and each of those 3 people paid a $20 sanction fee.
Well, so far that's $60.
And then each week, I have score sheets that show how the money was collected. We played 2 sheets per night, which equaled $15 per sheet. So it would end up being 3 locations would collect $30 a piece. So
I'm still not getting to $600 a banquet and the trophies.
Okay, so per week he collected $90 per week for 12 weeks. I think that comes out to $1040.
Hold on. 1080.
Okay.
1080.
Yep.
Okay. And
along with our sanction fees of $20 per person, can't add that one in my head, was in the pot as well.
Hey, you're talking about negligible money, so maybe you're talking about $1,500.
That was approximately what he collected, was $1,480.
Okay, so he collected $1,480, and of that he was supposed to give out $1,200.
Yes.
Plus trophies and a banquet.
He never mentioned trophies, and the banquet kind of is everybody brings a dish to pass, and we hand out the prize monies.
Well, he said there's no longer going to be a banquet for poolies, guys. Sorry for the inconvenience. What does he get for running this league?
Wasn't it $1?
I don't know. It was supposed to be $1 per week per player, so $18 a week.
Oh.
And that was according to the other rules.
How long have you been operating the league, Mr. Ralston?
That was my first session.
Okay. So you got in over your head?
Not really.
I think you did. You remember discussing $600 at the first meeting of the team?
No, ma'am.
Now you want to tell me about the assault because that's your counterclaim. Who assaulted you?
Adam.
He did?
Yes.
Tell me how that happened.
I was at the local pub. Stopped to have a beer with my buddy, and as I'm leaving, I hear yelling behind me and said something about money, and then he hit me.
Where did he hit you?
Back of the head.
What was the date?
December 22nd, 2016.
Did you call the police?
I did, and then I never went through with the assault charges.
Why?
By the time
Because you weren't injured.
I was injured, but I didn't realize until a week later how bad it was.
Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Go ahead, Mr. Peters.
Look at me.
I'm listening.
Well, I seen him at the bar. I confronted him about our money.
What do you mean you confronted him?
I confronted him about our money that he owes us for playing pool. And then when that time I did that, he hit me and I ended up on the ground and I had this 300-pound guy on top of me. Then my daughter came over there and told that guy to get off me because I couldn't breathe right because he was
What
so
did
heavy.
you say to him when you confronted him?
I asked him if he had our money for the pool league.
What happened next?
I got punched and I wasn't laying on the ground. And I had this 300-pound guy on top of me and my daughter.
Did you call the police?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I don't know. I didn't pursue that.
Mr. Ralston, you owe the team $600. You got in over your head. I assume you're not doing this league anymore. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. We're done. Mr. Jacobs, Miss Paolo is your former girlfriend, and it is your claim that she filed a false police report about you, causing you to be incarcerated for 4 days, requiring you to hire an attorney, and that she has some property that belongs to you. I think that the property is a rifle that was a gift to you. Is that right?
From my father.
And after you were arrested, it is your claim she took your truck, and there was stuff in your truck. When you finally got your truck back, all of this property in your truck, which is hunting gear, etc., was gone. And the defendant says that you did, in fact, commit the acts that she complained of. She's countersuing for ridiculous things, moving expenses, because she says she's not happy living in that apartment. She's afraid, a phone that you allegedly broke, and a hole that you placed in the wall in the apartment that she's going to have to fix. That's your counterclaim. I have so many questions. One in particular that I don't know if you're going to be able to prove to me. You filed a restraining order against him when?
In November 2015.
I'd like to see a copy of that restraining order. And you were living together at the time?
Till November 8th.
How long had you been living together?
Off and on since February.
Was it your apartment or your apartment?
It was my apartment.
No, I want to see what you said in order to get this restraining order.
He hit me in my eye, Your Honor.
No, I'd like to see. You had to file a petition. This is the order. I want to see what you filed, not what you say happened. I want to see what you told the court that you had.
The only thing I have, Your Honor, is the police report that states he abused me that night. And
Police weren't there when he allegedly did anything to you. That's what you told them.
They were there and they took pictures of my eye.
The police, no, listen to me. The police weren't there for the event. What I wanted to see is what you wrote in your complaint. Because one of the interesting things that the plaintiff says is that you filed the exact same complaint against your ex-husband. Do you have that complaint?
Yeah, the restraining order she put on me.
No. Are you following what I'm saying? You wrote something in here and you said that the defendant filed the same allegations against her ex-husband that she filed against you.
Yeah, let me find that really quick.
I would like to see that.
It's right here.
This is the application that she filed against the ex-husband.
No, against me.
That's the one she filed against you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I want to see all of this. Is ongoing danger continued. Let me see the rest of it.
Here's the whole order right here. I actually read her ex-husband's restraining order, and it said the exact same thing about $2,000 being stolen and
Just
about him.
All I say is let me see it. Where is it? Am I correct, sir, that you have no proof of that? Am I correct, sir, that you have no proof of that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, great, so that I don't have to consider it. And am I correct that you do not have what you alleged when you petitioned the court for a protective order?
That would be the same exact paper I would have.
No, it's not. You go into court and you have to file what happened. On November 8th, 2015, Justin Jacobs punched me in the eye and punched a hole in the wall, and I fear for my safety and request an order of protection. Then the judge will take your testimony, raise your hand, swear to tell the truth, tell me what happened on March 8th. You give the judge a little scenario, and the judge grants you an order. This is his order, but this is not what your petition was. Now, since you don't have it, I'll take a look at the police report. Well, you were both drunk that night.
Correct. Not as intoxicated as he was, Your Honor. The police...
You mean there are levels of intoxication? You were both drunk. That's according to the police officer.
He's an alcoholic.
How many times have the police been called to your premises?
Several, just because
Several.
of his abuse.
Several. And, listen to me, I know that you only pointed me in this direction. It's actually the page before that's very interesting. I spoke to Jessica in the bedroom. She had also had bloodshot, watery eyes and slightly slurred speech. Her thoughts were scattered. I asked if she was injured, and she said she was not. I noticed her right eye was red from blood on the outside of the white part, which is the white part of the eye where you get a blood spot sometimes. I get it too. She told me that it happened a couple of days ago when we were fighting. She did not call the police then. You also told the police that she cut you. And the police looked at where she cut you because you were also drunk, and it was all scabbed over. And you said that also happened a few days ago.
Yes, Your Honor.
There were 2 holes in the door. It was hard to get a straight story out of her because she kept talking about other things that have happened between them in the last few months. I assume you're her parents.
I'm her mom.
Yeah, okay. So, did you read the whole report?
Not the entire
Not the report. Well, read the whole report. So you had this fight because you had both been drinking, and I assume that this was part of your modus operandi relationship, because it seems to me, based upon what the police officer got from both of you drunks that night, that this had been going on for quite some time. There was clearly, according to you, no evidence that on the night that the police were called on the 8th that there was any injury to your eye, just as there was no evidence that on the night in November when the police arrived that there was a fresh stab wound from her on your arm. So clearly this was your love dance. Now, when did you take his truck?
I never took his truck.
Never.
I
Drove his truck.
I only drove his truck when he said it was okay.
Okay, after he was arrested.
After he was arrested, I moved his vehicle.
So after he was arrested, so just a second.
Parking spot to
after he was arrested, you took his truck. And what did you do with it?
I removed it from my parking spot and put it in the guest parking spot so his mother can come get his belongings from it.
Just a second. This is his
She
mother.
never was there.
This is his mother. So you moved it into the guest parking spot so that his mother could come and pick it up. How did you notify her? How did you notify his mother to come and get the truck from the guest parking spot?
She was the one who was texting me, harassing me about it. I told her everything is outside with his keys in it.
No, I'm asking you a question. If you moved the truck from your spot to the guest spot, and of course you tell the police here that he kept, and I'm not excusing you because you were drunk and clearly the two of you fought all the time. The bottom issue is, I'm sure there was violence on both sides when you were drinking. The issue is 4 days in jail. Had you ever been in jail before? Yes.
Same exact thing. Sorry.
Well, she certainly can't pick him. She did file a restraining order against her ex-husband, did she not?
It was not similar circumstances.
That's not what I'm asking you. Fear is fear. It's what happens when you drink.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have recordings on my phone of her removing the doorknob she blamed on me. I have a picture of her hand.
That was dismissed in court,
I don't want to hear you till I look at you. Continue.
I have recordings of her admitting to having my keys and refusing to give them to me November 8th.
You're talking about the keys to the truck?
Yeah.
I don't care about the doorknob. You two drunks. I'm only interested now in what was in the truck and whether or not she actually removed stuff from the truck. Where's his rifle?
That is my rifle, Your Honor. He gave it to me as a gift.
Where is it?
I have it. This is my rifle. I have the papers. It's in my name, Your Honor. It is a pink camo. It is a pink camo case, Your Honor.
I can't. Shh.
No, the door's right there.
Where's my keys? The ones you stole from me, you don't give back? How am I supposed to get my truck when you have my keys? You don't give them to me. I'd really appreciate it if you give me my keys back and stop throwing things at me.
Put your sandals on. Go in your truck. Get out.
You have my keys. I can't.
I'm tired of fighting with you. Go.
I'm not doing anything. You're the one that locked me in here.
Spend the night.
Broke the door. And I won't give you my keys.
Spend the night alone.
Where's my keys?
Go spend the night
Where's my
alone.
keys?
Where's your shoes?
Where's my keys to my truck?
Where's your shoes?
What was in the truck?
All of my hunting stuff, multiple packs with a lot of...
Any bills, receipts for the hunting stuff that was in the truck?
Your Honor.
Yep, right here.
I'd like to take a look at it. What is the replacement cost of the rifle?
$800 and something. I went on the webpage and there's actually a receipt in there and
You're mumbling and I don't understand
sorry,
you.
$800 something. There's a printed out paper with the price in that list.
When you finally got the truck back, where did you get it back from?
From a parking spot on the side of the apartment where...
Who got it back?
I actually did, Your Honor.
Could you step up, please?
Sure.
You're his mother.
Yes, I am.
On what date did you pick up the truck?
It was November 12th. And, Your Honor, I had to get it without the keys because she wouldn't give it to me.
Just a second. You picked it up on November 12th.
Yes.
How did you get it?
We actually had AAA come and get it.
Where did you take it to?
To my house.
Was there anything in the truck?
No, there was not.
Your Honor, any
there was
property?
not. Actually, the AAA man even said that if we
Don't tell me what the AAA man said.
Yeah,
I
there
just
was
asked
nothing
you
in the
if there
truck.
was any property in the truck.
No.
That's a lie.
You saw something in the truck?
There's a witness.
Okay, come. Who are you?
Her uncle,
What's your name? Last name?
Davidson, Michael Davidson.
Mr. Davidson, were you there on November 12th when AAA came?
She came in.
Were you there on November 12th?
I was at her apartment, but yes, I was at her apartment, and they came and took her truck. And Jessica had put all of his stuff in the truck. And
No. Just a second. Listen to me. I don't want you to tell me anything that you didn't see. Be very careful, Mr. Davidson, with your own eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good. Now, you saw AAA come for the truck. When for the first time did you go into the truck?
Well, he got arrested that night, November 8th. I had come over that night, and I stayed because Jessica was afraid. And the next day,
did you notice
he
she
had
was
his
just
truck.
a second? Did you notice she had been drinking?
Well, she was
Did you notice that she had been drinking?
Well, she was smoking. I couldn't tell she was drinking, but she was outside smoking, and she had told me what happened. And
okay. Now, I'm going to ask you again. When did you go into the truck?
Well, that night his truck was right in front of her apartment, and there was a bunch of stuff in the truck.
Yes, and keep going.
Right.
Did you? Don't say anything to him. Say nothing.
Sorry.
I know who the players are. Did you move the truck to the guest spot? You moved the truck, or did she?
No, she did.
She did.
Right.
Did she move the truck to the guest spot that night?
No, not that night.
Were you there when she moved the truck to the guest spot?
Yes.
On what date?
I believe it was the next day or the day after.
So a day or two later?
Yes.
And you were present?
Yeah,
Just a second.
Yes.
Be very careful, Mr. Davidson.
Yeah.
You were present. Who drove the truck from the front of the house to the guest spot?
Jessica.
You did not go with her?
No.
What did she do with the keys when she brought them inside?
I'm not sure. I think
So
they
you
were by the door because the mother was texting him every day to get the truck and to get his stuff.
Just a second.
Okay.
Don't tell me what you think. I don't care what you think. If you don't know what she did with the keys, say, I don't know what she did with the keys.
Okay.
Now, do you know what she did with the keys?
Yes, they were hanging on a latch by the door. There was a spot where they hung their keys, and the mother was in constant contact with her.
No, you don't know that.
No, I do. I was staying with her because she was afraid to be alone because he had guns in the house in a gun case. He had a couple pistols and another hunting rifle. And
what happened with that property?
We returned it all to his mother and his aunt.
And you personally were there?
Yes.
On what date?
Oh, I believe it was about 4 or 5 days later, and the police came and witnessed it.
The police came into the house?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Just a second. Okay. There's no question that the police came to the house. There was an escort at the house.
Yes, that's
police
correct.
Escort in the house, and you retrieved certain property of his that was
correct.
in the house.
Yes.
No question about that. Now I'm talking about the truck.
Right.
When the police came to the house and you were there, where was the truck?
His mother had already taken the truck with AAA.
Before? How many days before?
I believe she took the truck on the 9th.
Okay.
And then...
Now, AAA had to come and get the truck because there was no key. Mr. Davidson, do you understand?
Yeah.
And based upon what you told me, your niece had put the key on a hook near the door.
Right.
Well, why would it be necessary for AAA to come and tow the truck if you or your niece or her mother gave the keys to the truck to his mother?
She didn't get the keys that next day. She wanted his truck.
Just a second.
So she called AAA to get the truck.
Well, wouldn't that have been easy, sir, to just give her the key? You said she was harassing her over the phone about the truck.
Right.
Well, that must have happened between the 8th of November and the 9th of November, right?
Yeah.
And she didn't come with AAA to get the truck until the 9th of November. So why didn't you just give her the keys? Because according to what you said, the truck sat out in front of the house for a while and then was moved to the guest spot and wasn't picked up until a couple of days later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She took the truck because she didn't want Jessica to be driving the truck.
Of course. Why would she want Jessica to be driving the truck?
That's right. Well, Justin was in jail. Justin had gotten arrested.
So Justin was arrested because of a complaint made by your niece when she was drunk.
He hit her.
I'm sure that there have been times when he hit you. I'm sure that you also stabbed him 2 days before. That's what happens when you drink.
Your Honor, the day before all of this happened, he claimed I stabbed him, but he tased himself and his father because he was drunk.
Where is the stuff that was in his truck?
I had set every piece of property, guns, safe, hunting equipment, camping equipment, tent.
Just a second. So you returned to him the 2 handguns, correct?
The handgun came in when he brought the guns to my house. I gave everything that he owned to him. The day of August 23rd, 2015, he came and gave me that rifle as a gift. That's the only gun that is
Listen.
In May.
I'm just asking you a question. I said you turned over the 2 handguns to his mother.
Correct.
Right? So you're not afraid of him having these 2 registered handguns. That's all I'm getting at. So he's got 2 registered handguns. And the only thing that's important is the rifle. Why would somebody who is so afraid of somebody else, I could understand you say, I'm not returning the rifle. I'm not. But you already returned 2 handguns to him.
Your Honor, that's exactly why I gave the rifle to the evidence room, because I didn't want any doubt at all. But they played.
So where is the rifle now?
It's my rifle.
You're never going to get the rifle back. All it's going to tell you is if you get drunk and you drink with somebody with whom you have a violent relationship, you risk it. You risk it. Police are under an obligation. They're under an obligation that if somebody cries, hit me, and if that person, like you, was laying on the couch, dead drunk, so you didn't even know it was a cop there until he had to shake you 3 times, right? Then what happens is the cop is going to take you into custody. Do you understand? You have to get your property back, but I'm not certain that you're going to get it back. So you have to replace it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. You get drunk, you spend 4 days in jail. On your counterclaim, that's dismissed. We're done. When did you start renting the condo?
On December 22nd of